Hey guys, welcome back to Follow Me 11B. Discussions on current events, macroeconomics, and freedom and liberty from a veteran's perspective. Today, I would like to discuss the ongoing war in Ukraine with Russia, how things are progressing there right now, and what are the most likely outcomes when all is said and done. So, to start things off, let us go straight to a news article I came across on CNN Business entitled Veteran Cameraman and Ukrainian Journalist Killed Near Kyiv While Reporting for Fox News by Oliver Darcy and Brian Stelzer, CNN Business, Tuesday, March 15th, 2022. A Monday attack on a Fox News crew reporting near the Ukrainian capital of Kyiv left two of the network's journalists dead and its correspondent severely injured, the channel said on Tuesday. Killed in the attack were Pierre Zakshevsky, a 55-year-old longtime war photojournalist, and Alexandra Sasha Kovshanova, a 24-year-old Ukrainian journalist working as a consultant for the network. Fox News correspondent Benjamin Hall was seriously injured and remains hospitalized. The truth is the target, Ukraine's Ministry of Defense said Tuesday, commenting on the attack of journalists in the Fox News crew. Both deaths were announced by Fox News media chief executive Suzanne Scott, who said the team's vehicle came under fire as they were reporting. Anton Geranchenko, an advisor to the Ukrainian Interior Minister, blamed artillery shelling by Russian forces. The deaths come as journalists working in Ukraine increasingly find themselves coming under fire. Brent Renaud, an award-winning American documentarian, was killed Sunday in an attack. So, bad news there. More Western journalists being killed, more Westerners killed, along with many civilians and troops on both sides. That said, also, Ukrainian, I guess you could say the Ukraine has passed the milestone, I guess you could call it a milestone of more than 3 million Ukrainians have become refugees to various parts of Europe, fleeing the Ukraine. Also, Tuesday, leaders of three Eastern European countries visited Vladimir Zelensky in Kyiv, and I don't know if that's such a great idea since they are all members of NATO. It was the Prime Minister of Poland, Slovenia, and Czech Republic to visit with Zelensky, kind of express solidarity and support for his struggle and the fight against the invading Russians. Luckily, the good news is they made it back in one piece. So the bad news is if they didn't, we'd probably be in the midst of a world war right now. Again, I have discussed this on my Facebook page, but it is kind of hard to get accurate numbers as far as the casualty figures for the Russian army as well as for the Ukrainian military, since both benefit by inflating and or deflating numbers of their forces and or the opposing force. However, this is according to American intelligence, according to the New York Times, as reported on the 16th of March. So over 7,000 Russians have been killed, according to American intelligence, which is the reference point I'm going to use. I'm going to use American figures since they have less of a reason to inflate or deflate numbers. Also, according to a U.S. official, as reported by CBS News March 9th, between 2,000 and 4,000 Ukrainian military have been KIA so far. President Zelensky yesterday addressed lawmakers in Washington, D.C., and President Biden subsequently allocated another $800 million in aid in all forms, weapons, supplies, so on and so forth, including Stingers, Javelin missiles, and drones, among other things. So that, I believe, we'll get into that a little bit later, but I believe that that's something. It's not what they asked for specifically, but something's better than nothing, I guess. So we'll discuss that a little bit later. Meanwhile, Russia continues to shell Kyiv and is not, by all reports, discriminating against civilian military targets, etc., etc. It's just, this may be their new strategy, since things don't appear to be going as well as and as easy as Russia and Vladimir Putin probably originally thought this was going to go for them. So, by all reports, they're having a lot more difficulty with their movements through the countryside, because they're meeting such stiff resistance. Now, what does this mean? What are the most likely outcomes when all is said and done? I believe there are three outcomes that are probably the most likely, and here they are in the order of most likely. The most likely, I believe, is Zelensky agrees to not seek NATO membership, which is one of Russia's demands. They don't want Ukraine to be a member of NATO. Makes them nervous. They don't like NATO so close to their border, and so on and so forth. So I believe that Zelensky's kind of been backing off on his dream of becoming a NATO member, which seems like that's what they wanted for a long time as well. However, I think he's kind of coming to terms with, well, if I just don't seek NATO membership, maybe I can negotiate the country out of this. And that might be the quickest, the easiest way to end this thing. And that's what we want. We want things to end quick and easy. So, I don't think that Vladimir Putin, though, is going to just, pack his bags and take his troops and move back to Russia and kind of, hey, business as usual, back to normal borders and so on and so forth. No, what I think is going to happen is that the Russian-controlled Donbass region is going, they're going to link that. They're going to try to link that, if this scenario plays out, with Crimea via the land that they have captured and grabbed in this military intervention, I guess you would say, this invasion. And they're going to keep that land. They're going to try to keep that land anyway. And I think that that's a pretty likely scenario. They're going to connect the Donbass with Crimea via the land that they've captured. The second most likely scenario I could see happening is a protracted guerrilla war, kind of like the American. Some call it an occupation, some call it an invasion. Americans in Afghanistan, where you stay for years and years and years, and you lose thousands of troops over the course of time. And that's not good, obviously, but it's a lot easier pill for the public to swallow, losing troops over time than losing thousands and thousands of troops in 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, so on and so forth. However, that said, Russia's already been down a road similar before with Afghanistan, just like the United States has been. Actually, they were there before us. So we'll have to see if the Russian public will put up with that. But I think that's a pretty likely scenario as well. Third most likely scenario, unfortunately, I do believe this is one of the more likely scenarios, is that Vladimir Putin kind of just doubles down on blitzkrieg and he keeps carpet bombing these towns and laying waste to the countryside, and eventually does take over the entire country. He gets Kyiv and then he moves through Ukraine, probably very slowly, and it becomes one of their artillery shells hits accidentally, more than likely, a NATO member. You may have heard on the news a few days ago, they bombed with a missile fired from Russia. They hit a Ukrainian training facility, and that training facility was only 10 to 12 miles away from the Polish border. Again, Poland is a member of NATO. So imagine if they're targeting systems on their missiles, just which by all reports are not as good as Western equipment and targeting systems. Whoops, I accidentally overshot that and blew up a Polish convoy, or oops, we accidentally shot down a Greek fighter jet that was patrolling the area. Oh, well, that's a NATO member. And an attack on one is an attack on all. And now you've got World War III and more than likely nuclear deployments of some form. So, again, in order. First, let's go in backwards order. Number 3 would be nuclear war. Russia accidentally hits one of the NATO alliance members accidentally, and leads to World War III. It leads to full-on war with Europe and Russia, and we're going to be drawn into it as well, more than likely with nuclear deployments. The second is a protracted guerrilla war. And I believe the number one most probable resolution to this situation is President Zelensky accepting that that he's not going to have NATO membership, and Russia will leave. They're going to keep some of the land they captured, and they're going to call it a day. They're going to be able to claim victory. Zelensky is going to stay in power, so he's going to be able to claim victory, and things will sort of return to status quo. But I could be wrong, so you tell me. I would love to hear your opinion. So don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Let me know your opinions on the comments, and don't forget to follow us, like us on Facebook, Twitter, and The Real. Follow me, 11B, on Instagram, and we will see you on the next video.